your network is your net worth. I can't explain that enough. That's been my biggest thing in the business world. I wasn't the smartest, but I'll outwork you, and I'll meet more people than you, and just establish a real network. So,
man, people here, man, you gotta listen to that. Was a gem right there. Your network is your net worth. No Free Lunch is presented by T. Rowe Price. The information provided on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified financial and or legal professionals before making any legal or financial decisions or investments.
I'm Ndamukong Suh, and welcome to No Free Lunch, where we talk to experts and athletes about how the most successful people in sports manage their money and grow their wealth. Now more than ever, athletes are finding unique ways to monetize their name, image, and likeness. With the evolution of social media and streaming, brand deals have evolved way past deals with local small businesses. For some athletes, the money they can make off the field rivals the amount they can make on it. My guest today, Cam Fordham, is a former college football player who hung up his cleats to help athletes and entertainers grow their brand and maximize their earning potential. So let's talk about how athletes can maximize their brand right here on No Free Lunch. Welcome to the show, Cam Fordham. So Cam, let's jump into it, man. Let's talk about Get Engaged Media and what it's all about, all the exciting things that you're working on, kind of the ideation of campaigns and things of that nature, and really what it's all about.
Absolutely. So we are a full-scale digital marketing agency. We have a brand side of the business where we do all-encompass marketing for brands. Think Raising Cane's is a perfect example.
I love Raising Cane's.
Right, right. Or like an Airbnb. So we do influencer talent relations.
Okay.
We do social media, paid media, content creation. And then we do that for record labels and movie studios as well.
Okay.
And then we have a venture part of our business that we invest in brands, or we put either cash in, or we do a hybrid model of cash as well as service. So
I love that, and I want to dive more into that because I think that's really forward thinking and really kind of before its time, especially in the last decade or so. But ultimately, like when you look at like a Raising Cane's, does that come from your relationship being at LSU and things of that nature, or how did that come together?
I actually met the founder, Todd, when I was at LSU through mutual friends.
Okay.
And we stayed in contact.
Did you invest?
Throughout the years? No, I wish. No, it's privately held. Todd owns pretty much the whole company. Stayed in contact. I think 2017 or 18, I had noticed that they hadn't done much on social or work with talent. Mm-hmm. And, we got together and started trying a few things and just established a relationship then.
Okay.
And, the rest is history. It's been a phenomenal relationship. And, as you can see, Cane's is a QSR restaurant, but it's turned into culture, which that was the goal from the start.
And so when you're talking about culture, how do you identify those things that have meaningful culture? Not only it's easy to say that it does now, but how are you identifying that before it actually is unveiled to the public in your own social and places like that?
For sure. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to start. The food has to be good. So the product, you got to be able to.
You're actually going in and tasting it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I grew up in Atlanta, so Zaxby's was very popular in Atlanta, but Cane's had been, I knew it from Louisiana, but I knew that everybody liked the food.
Okay.
It just needed more awareness and, combining talent and a lot of the things that we've done with their team on socials, it's been a recipe for success.
So I want to give you a test case then. If I can put you on spot, you've got Big Chicken, which has Shaq as its founder and owner from that perspective. You've got a guy named Greg Majewski, who is a great operator. He was originally with Jimmy John's, took their stores from 3 stores or 4 stores up to 300 stores from a franchising model perspective. How would you take that engine that is still very young, but has a great awareness to it right now, but needs some fine tuning? How would you grow that business with your organization?
At the end of the day, a lot of people have to do the franchise model just because it makes sense financially. If you're blessed enough to be able to be company owned and store owned, I think Cane's started, they franchised, and to a certain point, Todd got to a point where he felt comfortable enough to buy a lot of them back and go straight company model. What you see with the company model is just everybody cares and the product and the attention to detail is there. And they have a phenomenal CEO, AJ Kumaran, who he was running in organizations over in the Middle East and came here. And they've just, I can't speak enough just how much everybody and all their employees care.
If I'm breaking it down to the fans and to the listeners, you've got to have somebody who's a leader at the top that is sending this thesis and ethos of what the organization and what they want as their foundation. Quality people, treating them the right way, and then having a leader that's now a CEO and running all the operations that people actually believe in and want to follow behind as their leader from that perspective. And then you have that great synergistic opportunity to say, hey, you've got all these pieces, you got a great foundation, you got great leaders. I can now put fuel on the fire with my company to get you guys more awareness and bring that to the outside world so you can be known and be in this space, if I'm correct.
And those two leaders at the top are fanatics about what they do every day. And I think everybody feels that energy and gets behind it.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about campussport.net and how did that come to life? That was a company that you started, if I'm not correct, when you were in college and you ended up selling it. What brought you to wanting to create that and having the vision for that?
Yeah, I think in college, I played at LSU, came in as a tight end, put some weight on myself, and ended up being a center.
Okay.
I ended up transferring
a center.
A center. I was like 295.
So we would have went against each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I don't know if that would have been good for me. But
I think you would have held your own.
Thank you. But went to NC State, and then I think it was my junior year. I just got a little tired of ball.
Okay.
I was a tight end at heart. I didn't really enjoy the offensive line. And I just knew that I always had a knack for people and relationships and networking. So I was trying to figure out a lot of the relationships I had accumulated at LSU, NC State, being from Atlanta. I wanted to create a college sports / lifestyle website and see where it went. I just had a passion for media. And then, did that. We scaled to about 30, 35 writers at one time, had decent traffic, was picked up on Google News quite frequently. And then we ended up selling that 3 years after I was removed from college from a company out of New York called Co-Ed.
Okay.
And then was looking for my next step. And then that's when we started getting engaged.
Yeah. So if I heard you correctly, you're saying that you had some trials and tribulations in sports and really kind of took that opportunity to say, hey, let me look at some outside things. I may not be able to go pro, but I have this curiosity to go build some things. So let's talk a little bit more of what was that kind of turning point in your life that was it because you went from tight end to O-line, or was there something else that made you say, hey, I want to focus a little bit more. I still love sports, I still love football, but I want to focus more off the field?
I wasn't a natural O-lineman, and I just didn't have fun with it.
I don't know anybody who
I'm just being honest. That's just kind of where I was. And my dad had always been an inspiration for me. He was an entrepreneur himself in a different area of work, but I just liked making plays and connections. And I just felt like being in sports, that was my way to get into where I wanted to go.
Ultimately, were there people, whether they're teammates or folks outside of NC State, but close by, that helped you think through and build that?
Yeah, there actually was. First of all, when I was getting recruited, I got really close with a writer at scout.com, and we kept in contact throughout.
Old school, scout.com, man.
That was before Rivals and 247. But we had just stayed in contact, and he had a passion for eventually doing his own thing and in the college space. So we teamed up. And then I had a fellow defensive end that had transferred in from Colorado to NC State that I had gotten really cool with, named Forrest. And he had a passion for business. His family were entrepreneurs themselves, and I told him the vision, and we all came together and created Campus Sports.
So Forrest and Scout.com member has helped build Campus Sports, man.
That's it.
No, that's awesome. I love that. Can you share a little bit about Campus Sports and what it was acquired for? And then Would you say that was an opportunity for you then to say, it was acquired, I saw a lot of great success, but I can go do something even bigger and better with obviously Get Engaged Media?
For sure. So I think we were under like NDAs. I don't know if I can discuss what the price was, but it wasn't anything astronomical.
Okay.
It paid, what was put into it, maybe a little more.
Yep.
And I think all the relationships that I was able to connect with and accumulate throughout that time.
Yeah.
I moved back to Atlanta.
Okay.
That's where I'm from, and had naturally met, I guess hip hop was super popular at that time. So I'd met T.I., Waka Flocka, and they needed help with socials. We had been connected through friends, and so we started helping them on social media. My business partner and I, helping them monetize their socials, et cetera. And they kept coming to us like, hey, what else can you do? So we ended up going on the road and selling meet and greets and merch for T.I.
Okay.
And we came together and said, hey, there's a need here. You have the CAAs that represent talent. You have the big ad agencies that do the big commercial spots out of home. Yeah. But there's not a lot of social first digital agencies that represent the brands, eventually the record labels, the studios out there. And we put all we had into it, focused on it, came together, and started out of a little WeWork in Atlanta.
Okay, so again, breaking that down a little further, you have obviously the big agency, CAA, WME, from these perspectives, but you saw it as with T.I., for example, and Waka Flocka, I can put actually more detail-oriented and more intimate wraparound services around them as an individual and as an entity, and then take them out to the public to say, hey, you can get these exclusive opportunities only through us. And give us a couple more examples of what that looks like.
Yeah, I think back in the day, we were hustling. We weren't exclusive.
Yeah.
I think our attention to detail, our care factor, our response time, we just wouldn't turn anything down. I think that was how we got ourselves in. Like someone asked for something, we would just figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And we just took on everything. Okay. So I think that was like a recipe for our success. And we did that up until, COVID, where we really exploded, and we got pretty decent at what we do, and we knew that. But at first, man, we were hustling. We were just being scrappy in the trenches.
Bootstrapping and loving it. And so now that you're advanced and you're looking at it now, it's 2025, and how are you acquiring and being selective to the right clients?
Yeah, it just depends on, there's certain verticals that we want to go after. We feel like we've done a lot in the QSR space, the label space with music, movie studios, and a few other different genres. A lot of food and a lot of beverage that we've accomplished. But we just took on an AI client, big AI client, which is nice. We've landed that and got that through the door. We just took on a big makeup brand. So we're just trying to fill out our portfolio with every different vertical, that we think we can help scale.
And you mentioned earlier the ability to look at some of these clients. So it sounds like you want to have established clients that have this ability to grow with and obviously pay the bills and do those different things. But you also look at it very interesting enough where you have a two-pronged approach of saying you're gonna pay us, but also we believe enough into you that we want to have equity in your organization and go along with the ride with you. How does that come together?
Well, first of all, when it comes to the clients that we get paid from, and at this point, we need to believe in them. We need to believe that we can get an impact, because that's how you create lasting relationships, and that's how you grow in those fields. But when it comes to products that we take on that are startups, we first identify, is it a tired space?
Yeah.
We want to be able to disrupt a category. So Real Tea, for example, we started that with Bloden Ukella and Lee Feuerstein about 3.5 years ago now. There hadn't been a lot of shakeup in the iced tea space. Okay. And when I say that, when you go to 7-Eleven, everything has 34 grams of sugar, tons of carbs, calories, et cetera. There was no tea that tasted good, that had no sugar, no calories, no carbs, no artificial sweeteners. And that's what we took on. Okay. And then we paired with a big talent. Morgan Wallen came in and helped recharge the brand. But so that's kind of our formula. We look at tired spaces and we look at badass operators. So Lee and Bloden. So Bloden had been at BAI, B-A-I, they sold.
Yeah.
And he had been an exec over there. So he knew exactly the ins and outs and had the experience. And Lee had sold Skinny Pop, Veggie Straws, Core Water. So the distribution relationships were super heavy there. Yeah. And then we took on Outlaw Beer.
Okay. Yeah.
So Outlaw Beer, there hadn't been a lot of things going on in the light beer space in quite some time. Everybody was focused on IPAs, crafts, et cetera.
Yeah.
And we just felt like light beer was a category that needed some exposure. So we brought in Hardy, which is a country singer, as well as Co Wetzel.
Yeah.
And they helped charge the brand, and then our company doing a lot of the marketing and different things. And they're going back to operators. Yeah. Ari had came from Anheuser-Busch and had been a high exec over there. So he knew the ins and outs.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned AI. How do you envision AI changing the model that you've built to date? And do you see it as an additive thing or something that could potentially affect your business in a negative way?
Man, listen, everything changes weekly in digital and social. I think AI is great. You just have to adapt to it. You always need a human element in whatever you're doing. I think it only supercharges things and make things more simplistic.
Yeah.
And can add to the creative juices that you're producing. Okay. I don't think it's a bad thing at all as long as you take it on the right way. I mean, we're investing in an AI production company and we're taking on AI clients and we're learning something new every day. But it's just, you just got to rock with the boat. That's where we're going.
Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. I've looked at a handful of interesting AI companies myself and have got some exclusive opportunities that I'm excited about that hopefully in the next couple of years become public. So
for sure.
I think AI is obviously the future, but how does it apply and how does it work to not only supercharge, as you mentioned, your company or yourself as an individual? So let's talk about Get Engaged Media and what situation that people don't know what really gave you that springboard to get to the next level and put you on the map?
I think there's a few different examples, but I think one that stands out is MLS came to us super early.
No specific team.
The whole league.
The whole league.
For sure.
And before Messi and everybody came in, like MLS was like, we need you. We don't have anything special coming up, but we need you to make us look special.
It was a hard sell at first because not these teams were obviously growing, a ton of expansion teams going on, et cetera. But not a lot of kids grew up on soccer. It was more of a European world sport. But
I mean, I grew up on soccer. I loved it, but that's because my dad played European soccer.
Well, there you go.
And so it's obviously I'm Cameroonian, I'm Jamaican. It's in our ethos from that perspective. But so MLS came to you and was like, we're trying to bring this sport like massive awareness.
Right.
And we're challenging Get Engaged Media to take us to the next platform. Can you do it?
For sure. And I mean, I knew how the numbers looked. Yep. It was scaling year over year. It had a lot of promise.
Yep.
You know, for example, the Atlanta United team. Okay. They were a newer team. I think they were 1 or 2 years in. Okay. And they were selling out 50, 60,000 a night. I was like, oh wow, like this does have potential. Yeah. And
So did you? I want to ask a little bit more about that. Did you look at finding, like, say, for instance, like I look at Chicago, and a lot of people don't know this because I'm soccer's core to me. I really call it football.
I like it now too. Yeah, I didn't like it at first.
But the Croatia people, for lack of better words, are really, for whatever reason, have gravitated to being in Chicago, Illinois. So there's Hajduk Split, which is a massively well-known Croatian soccer team. So they've pinpointed, for whatever reason, that Chicago, that's where a lot of Croatians are. Did you look at demographics like that to be able to build MLS and leverage those different resources? Or how did you look at growing it?
We looked at everything.
Okay.
For sure. I mean, that was definitely part of the formula. Okay. Looking on, different demographics, where they're located. Yeah. Et cetera, and see how we can market to them and see what moves them beater in the different regions.
How do you look at talent from a perspective of what do you like about them if you're going to work with them? And you may or may not be looking at them as something that you want to do or you don't do.
Yeah, they just got to fit within what the brand's trying to represent. They gotta or naturally like the product. We don't work with anyone until they try a product or we think they, would identify with the product. So it's got to be organic. It's got to be natural, because if it's not, it doesn't work.
Would you say there are examples of some of the most expensive mistakes athletes make in branding themselves?
I don't know about expensive, but I would say a lot of athletes just look at a brand deal as extra income or look at dollar signs. They don't necessarily understand longevity of their brand. Does this fit with me? Do I like this product? Is it going to be inauthentic to endorse this product? So I just think a lot of athletes just need to pay attention to the long game.
Yeah.
And you're building something and you're building credibility. And you just have to pay attention to that.
So in other words, would you say that if it's not true to their everyday living and them as a person, they're typically most likely making a mistake by representing that brand?
I think so. Unless it's just a extraordinary circumstance
Unless
where
you're
it's
paying
like,
$1 billion.
you're gonna pay me $5 million for this one social post. It just, I typically like to look at longevity and lasting impact. And that is created through organic relationships. So
organic and authenticity. I think that's super important. I'm fortunate enough to be sponsored by Nike, but regardless, I would wear it no matter what.
Right.
I'm not wearing Adidas. I'm not wearing Under Armour. I grew up on Nike.
For sure.
It was in my backyard in Portland. So it's everything that I am.
Right. I mean, if you're taking a deal from Samsung and you're using your Samsung for your endorsement deals, but when I'm hanging out with you personally, you're using your iPhone. It's just inauthentic. And fans these days will snap pictures of that and post it online, and then the brand looks stupid. You don't want that.
You talked about not necessarily working with athletes or entertainers directly as much anymore as you did with T.I. and Waka Flocka. What are some of the more important things now than ever is good for an athlete to brand themselves with? And then obviously that turning into actual dollars.
A lot of these athletes, they get the typical deals, the Nikes, et cetera.
Yep.
I think the ones that show themselves and create an ecosystem around themselves, what do they drink in the off season? What do they do this? And they put, they put the resources and a lot of it goes back to them investing in themselves on socials.
Yep.
So showing that, and that's what amplifies getting brand deals. If you have the visibility, the products and the endorsements come from there. And choosing wisely.
So what would be some examples of that? And I more so ask because you mentioned Nike. I love Nike to death. I'm a Jordan brand athlete, which is under Nike Inc. And I think for me, especially being a defensive lineman, the guy that wore a helmet for 13 plus years, it's hard to see that visibility. But Nike took me out of that shell to say, hey, this is Ndamukong Suh. He's in this commercial. He's in this commercial. He's in this ad. He's doing these different things. He's promoting these shoes. And now I'm part of one of the second largest, most successful shoe brand in the world right now in Jordan brand. And so how does somebody leverage that opportunity if they have it, or they have to go build it on their own and they don't have the ability to have a Nike or an Adidas behind them?
For sure. I mean, that's a great platform, and you're right. When you're a football player, you have a helmet on, you can't see you as much. You're an NBA athlete. People see you every night, faces everywhere. So being able to get a lot of that visibility from the bigger conglomerates is key. But you got to be a good player to do that.
Proof is all about what's in the pudding and on the field or indoor court.
Exactly. So, but what I do like is what Bryson DeChambeau and Tom Brady and a few others have done with creating YouTube channels and creating other platforms for themselves to get a lot more of that visibility. And you see it, it's an investment. A lot of these brands, they're looking for eyeballs and impressions.
Yeah.
So if you have those other platforms to garner more of those views, the brand deals go up.
Yeah.
It's just like in the movie space. When the reason The Rock and Kevin Hart spend so much time on social and caring about it is because they can go to a lot of these studios and say, hey, I want to negotiate more and a better rate because my platform is a walking billboard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, that's super important, but not everybody can be The Rock or Kevin Hart.
Agreed.
And so want to give you a case study.
Okay.
And let's use this athlete, football, basketball, whatever it may be. They are, let's say football. They have an opportunity to be one, they're super well known, let's say LSU.
Okay.
And LSU, SEC, across the country, they know them. They're the superstar. They don't know where they're going to be, but they're going to be projected as a first-round draft pick. How do you help them build their brand, knowing that they're going to be potentially a first-round draft pick and going into, one, maximizing the opportunity of social at this stage? And it's 2026.
Yeah, for sure. So some athletes don't want to be on social at all.
Yep.
I don't necessarily agree with that to a certain point, but I would tell them, as they're building up and gaining more height, do things outside the box, like go to events, network. A lot of athletes enjoy music.
Yeah.
Try to meet up with musicians. A lot of musicians want to be athletes, and athletes want to be musicians. So that cross-pollination of different fan bases, et cetera, creates a lot of hype. Yeah. I just think, the more, without losing focus, but the more visibility on social, the better. Highlight who you are as a person, show your teammates off, the bond that you have with them. It all goes back to just investing in yourself and your digital presence.
That's good. I'm going to have to get this prepared. I don't know when my boys are 4. I think they'll be successful. They'll definitely be successful in education and being smart from that perspective. They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But if they get to sports, we're going to have a conversation. I think they'd be like 2050 or something like that.
Okay, there you go.
We'll see.
Got some time.
Got some time. So you'll get a phone call from me.
Yeah.
You mentioned investing, and I want to talk a little bit of why you invested in like pickleball and some of these different entities. What are you seeing in those spaces, why they're attracted to you and want to be involved?
Yeah, so a lot of people that I really trust in the industry had gotten involved with pickleball. I saw you had Rich Kleiman on the show. Him and KD got involved super early. They tend to have their foot on the pulse. You saw by the statistics and the numbers that the sport was just skyrocketing and growing, and I just felt like it was a good time. Austin never had a team. I felt like a lot of the network that we have, we could bring in the fold and have them invest in the team and bring value. And I don't know, man. Listen, I could be super dumb with it all, but investing is like controlled gambling.
Yeah.
You think you have an idea, but you never know. So you throw 20 things in the fire, hopefully 2 or 3 hit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is one of those things that I don't believe in the spray and pray method, but there's without question, you're going to have failures when you invest. Right. You're going to have successes, and you hope most of the successes outweigh the failures within them, but you're without question going to fail at some point with the investment opportunities that are afforded to you. Would you say when you are investing, how intentional are you when it comes to making sure that you're aligned with your clients that have that kind of recognition, like a Rock or the Kevin Harts of the world, and then that gives you confidence to say, hey, they can help push this and give it an unfair advantage?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, we try to focus on brands that aren't named after the talent, or you don't have to use the talent in everything you do. The brand needs to stay on its own. But if you can align with the talent, that can only supercharge the brand. Yeah. And it's authentic and it makes sense, that's the key.
Yeah. It's very, very key and very smart. What advice would you have to a young athlete that has played high-level SEC ball or ACC ball that now is transitioning and getting into the real world, for lack of better words? What does that look like? What type of tips or tricks would you give them from that perspective?
Sure. I think, first of all, when they're playing ball, give it all you got, everything, but always figure out what that next step is. What's the backup plan? I tell them to meet and network with as many people as they can in the category that they're interested in. Yep. Learn from people, go to ChatGPT, go to Google, just learn and soak up as much as possible. And your network is your net worth. I can't explain that enough. That's been my biggest thing in the business world. I wasn't the smartest, but I'll outwork you, and I'll meet more people than you, and just establish a real network. So,
man, you are people here, man, you got to listen to. That was a gem right there. Your network is your net worth. And I was just challenged this weekend by that same piece and thesis, because my mentors are like, there's all these things that you're working on and you're doing. And we're proud of you being dedicated and focused and hardworking. Like that's who you are. You're a hard worker. But don't be remiss to not understand you're in special rooms. Leverage those special rooms.
Amen.
And use those opportunities. If you weren't afforded them, that'd be a different thing. But you're afforded to them. So leverage them and obviously just pay respects to it.
And you were a good player, so that helps a lot. But you were smart to be able to leverage the network at hand in order to set up your next stage in life.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that more than ever. A lot of athletes don't understand. They think football will never end, but it's just not true. And it's not real life.
Yeah, I mean, in the Shield, like the universities, they open up so many doors. Like there's some kids that I've mentored that are 10, 15 years younger than me, and it doesn't matter what school it is. There are rich and successful people that have went to those schools. Go meet them.
Yes.
Go have conversations with them.
Correct.
They love you because they love that school, and you help their school be successful in whatever sport it is that you play.
It's funny you say that. I really love this story. I know Magic Johnson, when he got to the Lakers, he wanted to understand the business world. Mm-hmm. So what better business people are there than the season ticket holders that have courtside seats, right? Yeah. So he had Dr. Buss, the owner of the Lakers, set up individual dinners with a few of those people, and that's how he started his network, and that's how he got into a lot of early investments and kicked off his business career. And that's fantastic of leveraging, you playing ball.
Well, Cam, this has been amazing. I appreciate the conversation, but I'd be remiss to let you leave without my favorite question.
Please.
What is the biggest price you've ever paid for a breakthrough?
Man, I think when it comes to a breakthrough, I think it comes down to time. I think I gave up a lot of the past 8 to 10 years on family events and nights and weekends. And so I think that was probably my biggest price for a breakthrough. I think at the end of the day, we bootstrapped the company. Mm-hmm. So everything that we earned for 3-4 years was put back into the company in order to scale. Yeah. So, it was hard times until, COVID hit, and we really went and scaled quick. I mean, a lot of these companies were putting their billboard and radio spots into digital, and we had to put our shoes on and roll. So I think it comes, like I said, back to just time and everything spent in that way.
I mean, I appreciate it, Cam.
Appreciate you, man.
Good to see you,
That was awesome.
Look forward to it and staying in touch, man.
Thank you so much.
T. Rowe Price proudly sponsors No Free Lunch. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the podcast participants and do not necessarily reflect those of T. Rowe Price. Their sponsorship supports the platform and does not imply endorsement of specific content or perspectives. Man, what a great conversation with Cam. I would say my final thoughts and closing thoughts here would be simple as this. Athletes, entertainers, understand your value on social media, but also the presence and the authenticity of the brands that you work with. Don't just do any other brand because they're going to pay you a ton of money. Actually, let it be authentic to who you are as a human being. That's our show. Make sure you like, comment, or subscribe to No Free Lunch.